Why is Mbalula defending GNU even more than the person who came with the GNU, Ramaphosa? I mean, Ramaphosa is very reasonable about it. Mbalula is not reasonable about it. You speak against it, you will get a letter. What are you saying? When you arrive there, Ramaphosa says, hey, what are you doing here? Say, no, I'm called here. Say, there's no explanation. No, you are a list man. I don't understand what this guy is talking about. He is more GNU more than the person who came. The person who came with this thing is Ramaphosa. Mbalula is the main man to date. He has overtaken the founder of the GNU. I'm very scared of that gem show. It has changed the man. The man has changed completely. A sellout of notes, always ready to destroy his own in defense of white supremacists.
100 days into South Africa's government of national unity. But is it truly uniting the country? With the ANC and DA butting heads over what this coalition means, we need to ask, what's next for South Africa? Let's break it down. Greetings everyone. Welcome back to Inkari. It's time. Today we are reflecting on the government of national unity and its journey so far. It has been 100 days since the formation of this coalition, but the cracks are starting to show. Professor Mazwe Majola described it as a clash of expectations, particularly between the ANC and DA. But what does this mean for you and me? Let's dive into why this GNU, born out of necessity, isn't exactly the unity government some were hoping for.
Elections.
The modalities of the government of national unity will take into account the conditions prevailing at this moment in our country's history. The purpose of the government of national unity must be first and foremost to tackle the pressing issues that South Africans want to be addressed.
We will engage with the ANC in relation to Parliament. We'll engage the ANC in relation to Parliament and government, because we know that the ANC is the one that has constituted this relationship with the DA. But in relation to participation in government, that chapter is closed.
As the most represented party in the union, the ANC maintains lead negotiator status. Critical ministries like finance, energy, and security remain under the ANC's control.
A number of parties have come together to agree on a statement of intent to form a government of national unity. And this government of national unity will be constituted not by two, not by three, but by more parties that voluntarily want to participate.
But there's been friction. The government still faces challenges of addressing unemployment, infrastructure, and their policy differences. However, the Bella Bill and the NHI Act continue to cause uncertainty within the GNU.
So let's start with the basics. The ANC lost its parliamentary majority for the first time in decades, and that forced them to form a coalition with the DA and other smaller parties. The idea, a government of national unity, sounds great on paper, right? But according to Majola, the DA had higher hopes for this arrangement.
Then the other parties around this is because of this fallout, the Democratic Alliance accusing the ANC of betrayal, essentially, and that this could perhaps have an impact on the government of national unity. I wonder whether you think that that is a possibility at all, or is it once again the Democratic Alliance blowing hot air, essentially, because we know, for instance, when it comes to the Bella Bill, Helen Zille had said, this is a red line for us. We will not work with the ANC if the ANC pushes ahead with the Bella Bill. Well, the ANC government or the ANC president, who's the president of the country, has gone ahead and signed that bill into law. It's now an act, even though there are two clauses that have been suspended. But the Democratic Alliance is still part of the Government of National Unity. Do you think that this does place the Government of National Unity in jeopardy, or is it just hot air?
It seems like there is or there are some clash of expectations between ANC and DA in as far as this arrangement is concerned. It seems like DA, they think or they thought they'll become buddy-buddy with the ANC. In other words, in everywhere and everything. And now we are working together. Whatever we say, start with us. But from the other side, ANC is like want really to show people that no, we are not in coalition with DA. We are just working together with other parties as well. So that expectations, you can see, you can call it psychological or social contract that's gone wrong. However, DA does have this a tendency of playing hardball when it comes to negotiations and threatening that we pull out and do this thing. It seems like this strategy is not working for them. Actually, it's already destroying them because, as you are saying, that people will always ask, but you said this and then you are still there. You said it was still there. So it's important just to soften up and then just to compromise where possible.
The DA thought the GNU would lead to a balanced partnership, one where power was more evenly shared. Instead, the ANC still holds the majority of key cabinet positions, leaving the DA feeling sidelined. This isn't quite the coalition of equals they envisioned. Instead, it's starting to look like the same old story, with the ANC maintaining a disproportionate level of control. And this, my friends, is where the clash begins. And it doesn't stop there. While the ANC and DA are trying to make this partnership work, a significant part of South Africa's political spectrum has been left out. The economic freedom fighters and other rising parties like the Kondos didn't even get a seat at the table. Together, these parties represent nearly 25% of the national vote, yet they are not involved in this so-called unity government. This raises a big question. Is it really a government of national unity if it doesn't include all the major political players? Some critics are calling this arrangement a mere rebranding of ANC dominance, and the DA is clearly frustrated with the current structure. With the GNU hitting its 100-day milestone, people are starting to wonder, how much longer can this arrangement really last? So, what does this all mean for South Africa's future? Right now, we are seeing the early cracks of a coalition formed more out of necessity than genuine cooperation. The DA expected a broader scope of influence, but the reality has been an ANC-led GNU that's struggling to live up to its name. As South Africans, we should be asking, is this government working for us?
If you argue that the GNU is working, show me where they are hiring people today. Show me. You can't call those things of hiring people in their offices employment. The economy of South Africa as we speak today is retrenching. Under the GNU, there is confidence of the GNU, there is investor confidence, but there is retrenchment. And we support AMCU. And it's the only union that has stood up to fight for those coal mine workers against it. We support them and we are watching that process very closely because very soon we'll enter the space on the streets in solidarity with the workers. So please stop lying to us and saying there are jobs being created. There are no jobs being created. There is no investor confidence because the investor confidence must industrialize, must produce jobs, must develop infrastructure. Where is massive infrastructural development in South Africa? 100 days has passed
of the GNU. Show me what they've done in 100 days. Mbalula says, yeah. People said load shedding. It will come back after elections. We solved load shedding. They solved load shedding in the 6th administration. It was not solved by this. There was never a load shedding when the 7th administration was introduced. It was stopped before. So they must not claim the victories of the 6th administration. They didn't stop load shedding. It was stopped then. Of course, we didn't believe it was genuine. We still don't believe it's genuine. But the GNU didn't stop load shedding. The GNU didn't create anything positive for our people. Nothing in the 100 days. So what are you talking about? There's nothing that a black man and a black child can point and say, these are the benefits of government of national unity. DRIP is closing down today, liquidated under GNU. Under GNU. You say GNU is working. Where's the land useless?
It will collapse because this so-called GNU, it's a new liberal group that you see being led by Ramaphosa from internally in the ANC. And you know that in the ANC, they don't have the stand. They said that themselves, that they are not socialists, they are not communists, but they stand for anything. So they don't
call it the broad church.
They call it the broad church, yeah, themselves. So they take everything and anything. So they don't have, in Swana we say, they don't sleep with a solid backbone. So whatever happens, whatever comes, they will take. And once the anti-capitalist group in the ANC starts to emerge and shift towards the socialist move, you'll see that this GNU is going to collapse. Look, Tabo, the reason why we did not join this so-called GNU is that we couldn't afford the compromise. It was going to be a huge price for us to pay to explain to our people how we are moving away from expropriation of land without compensation, because once you enter into that coalition, you lose who you are. We stand for the people, we stand as socialists, but what does the GNU stand for really? It's mixed up with even the previous regime that captured this country through colonization and imperialism. So how do we then go into the same table and say, let's work with these people? Firstly, we have not healed as a country because our cries have not been heard. We've not heard back our land. The land is still in the hands of those who colonized us, those who ruled during apartheid. Now, you are saying we need to forgive people who are not asking for forgiveness, and even worse, work with them. As the EFF, we're going to disappear because the rush to go into a cabinet, into ministerial positions, 5 years down the line, the sacrifices would have been so huge that you can't come back and say to our people, we have failed. And the people are going to say, but we are fine again. We must just as well close shop. So yes, it is not, but I don't know why we're still going back to call it GNU, and even Madam Zille came to say this is a grand coalition with the ANC. I mean, we said that in Parliament ourselves. We were the first one to say it, and everybody came to us and said, no, you guys are crazy. But when Madam said that, no one came to say it's crazy. It's not government of national unity, it is a grand coalition with the Democratic Alliance. That's what it is.
And speaking to two voices tonight, we spoke to an economist, we spoke to a policy analyst. They say that, call it whatever you may, but there have been some positive strides that have been made. The economist says that for him, when he looks at the markets, he does see that there is some movement there and positivity, although economic growth is not where it should be, but he does say that things are on the right track. You speak to the policy analyst who says that the fact that you wouldn't have Sivue Kwahobe as the basic education minister at the signing of the Bella Bill should not be as big of an issue, because this is simply a difference in opinions and it shouldn't signal that there's tensions there.
No, it's not true, Bongiwe. So when you look at the 100 days of the so-called GNU, you look at what are the initiatives that these people have put together. So here you are the new CEO in a company, and you say, I'm at point A, I want to move this company to point B. And for me to arrive at point B, I need to do 1, 2, 3. And then you come with priorities out of your strategy. So there is a list of initiatives that this so-called GNU has put in place. The first one is jobs, which, by the way, comes from their very own manifesto that they launched prior to the elections. The ANC came and said, we need jobs for everybody. So said the DA and FF Plus and all of them. But when you look at what is actually currently happening, there are no jobs that have been created, Bongiwe. The president said he's going to have a presidential stimulus that create 1.7 million work and livelihood opportunities. Then you ask yourself, what is a work and livelihood opportunity that he's talking about? While we are even there, starting to try to analyze and understand what it is called, this thing called work and livelihood opportunity, here comes Stats SA that says for this past quarter, we've actually lost 158,000 jobs. So the unemployment rate has increased from 32.9% to 33.5% within a space of just 100 days. That's 5 months. And you look at which sectors contributed to this decrease. It's the finance sector, it's the agricultural sector, the manufacturing sector, and you name them. But this very finance sector, by the way, is very interesting because people lost jobs, but banks made money with just the change of interest rate. So the analyst must be true, must tell the South Africans true what exactly is happening. Because we saw even during the negotiations that they will say the rand is dwindling every time there's negotiations with the EFF on this so-called GNU with the ANC. But the minute they say that negotiating with the DA or FF Plus, they will tell you that the markets are gaining confidence.
Do you suspect there was something being done there?
It's man-made. Now, let's look at their second initiative that they put on the table. They said that beyond just the jobs, which is something that, by the way, they're pushing very hard, very hard, is the issue of privatization of the railways. We've seen in Richards Bay, they've appointed Greenrod to manage Richards Bay. Richards Bay, which has been best performing by the time some of us were at Transnet. What did they do at Devonport? They put an ICTSI company from Philippines that is not even in the top 10 of the best performing ports in the world. Why would you bring somebody who doesn't have skill, experience, expertise and say this person must come and manage your ports? Why didn't they go to China? Out of the top 10 ports in the world, China's got 8. The 9th one is Singapore and the 10th one is Dubai. None of these companies were made to come and share their skills and expertise here in the country. What does that mean? They give this to their friends. Let's go to the third one. The third one is on the teachers. Here, even the Minister of Basic Education herself says the education system is at threat because teachers are being threatened with retrenchments. Currently, as we speak, the teachers are not, there's not enough teachers in schools. The schools are understaffed. Teachers that are in employment right now, they're overwhelmed because the teacher-to-child ratio is very high.
She does say, though, that it predates her, that this issue of the budget has been coming over time. It's not something that is for this government of national unity. That's what she says.
But it is in the initiatives. I'm looking at the initiatives, their 100-day plan. We're now cracking what they promised the people of South Africa. That is in the 100-day plan. How do they put the teachers in the 100-day plan, yet they are unable to resolve the issue of the teachers?
She says, when you ask her, I've had a conversation with her to say that, why was it in the planning? And she says it was in the planning because she wanted to take it to the finance minister, which she says she's going to do. She's planning to have a meeting with the finance minister about this very issue in order to raise the fact that there needs to be security of jobs for teachers, but at the same time, get more into the system. That's what she says.
Then she's admitting that the GNU is not working 100 days later because it is a priority. Your 100-day plan is, you must give the South African a feel of what's going to happen. You can't come and still fold arms and say, yeah, well, I'll have a meeting with the minister. Yeah, well, the budget austerity measures. We've been saying that for 5 years. Now there's a new government. The new government says, these are my priorities. What is the meaning of priority if things are, we're just waiting for the minister to have a meeting with the minister?
If she has a briefing, though, to sound the alarm after she's taken over, is that not a signal that it's a priority, maybe?
The priority says that there's going to be stability in the education sector. It's not there. Let's agree, Bongiwe. She even confirms with the fact that she says, no, I'm going to have a meeting. A meeting 100 days later on something that you call priority. Then surely the meaning of priority has changed. The dictionary must be looked at.
When you look at the issue of, the rails, we've heard from, there's this one organization that has been coming on the show to call for the fact that they want the private sector to get involved there, because they believe that should the private sector get involved there, they're going to be able to unlock more opportunities for more businesses, and they say that it's going to be run efficiently. But you're saying that may not necessarily be the case.
So, Bongi, when I left Transnet in 2019, end of September, Transnet was moving, prior to that, over 200 million tons of cargo with a set number of locomotives, number of wagons. The railway track is there, the commodity is there, because the mines are operating. What has changed? The mines are still operating, commodity is there massively. The railway network is still the same. We've got over 40,000 kilometers of track. We still have the same number of locomotives. We still have the same number of wagons. What has changed is the leadership that has messed up Transnet. So what exactly are you fixing? Because you should be fixing the leadership at Transnet. Leave everything else. When we were there at Transnet, we had a contract with the China Railways, which built locomotives for Transnet. What did the late minister do? I don't want to call him by name. What did the late minister do? He cancelled that contract and said, no, we'll look for outside people. So here you are, think about it. You drive a BMW car. You cancel your motor plan and service with the BMW and say, well, I'll go and check if Bosch can do it or Mercedes can do it. They don't have the IP of your car. How can they service the car that doesn't belong to them? That's why a lot of locomotives were packed at Transnet. The wagons, the rolling stock, packed because there was poor maintenance, if there was any. What happens to the rail track? There's no maintenance of the railway track, the railway line. So who exactly does this? Is the management. Honestly speaking, nobody can come and lie and say the private sector. If anything, the private sector has been benefiting through transporting of our raw materials out of the country.
So are you saying we have the wrong people heading up Transnet?
Absolutely. And that's the point we made even in Parliament when we debated there with the current minister of monitoring, Minister Marupin. We said to her, remove this leadership that is at the helm of Transnet, because they are the ones. Explain to us, if we left 7,500 locomotives and we left 3,500 locomotives and we left 75,000 wagons and we still have commodity. That's why we're having so many trucks on the road, to confirm that indeed the commodity is still there. The mines are operating. There's not mine that is closed such that the commodity is lacking in South Africa. For you to run the railways successfully anywhere in the world, you need bulk commodities. That's South Africa's bulk commodities. We've got bulk commodities in abundance.
So there's, of course, the big issue around the fact that some who are saying that it's just 100 days. The honeymoon is not yet over. They still have a lot more work to do. For example, we were talking to earlier on saying that the honeymoon phase is not over yet. David Roth says the honeymoon phase is not over yet. Give them time, because they need to be able to deal with some of these, things that have been happening over the last couple of years. So you are saying, 100 days is more than enough to fix the legacy problems in the country?
Which legacy problems? The problems that we have in the country are created by the ANC. So are we going to sit back and say we are having problems? We're telling you that the people who are a problem are the ANC. They went into this grand coalition with the ANC, knowing very well who the ANC is to them. So they are birds of the same feather. They are all crooks. So they cannot come here and say they're leading with the legacy problem. The reason why the EFF did not go into this nonsensical GNU is because, Bongiwe, it would have been very costly for the EFF to be part of a mess that they created. One. Two, as a country, we have not healed from the injustices of the past, from the massacres of the past. Now you are saying to us, come and work with the very same people. We are not here for ministerial positions. We are here for a long-term project of economic freedom in our lifetime. Even if it means that we should skip the 5 years, conscientizing our people and re-energizing ourselves, we'll do that. We're not in a hurry for anything, because ours is a generational mission. We are not hurried to have caps of minister, because once you become a cabinet minister, you are saying to the people of South Africa, I'm going to set aside my manifesto that I've promised the people, because now you have to go and explain to the people why you're not expropriating land without compensation, yet you are now a cabinet member. So you said to the people, okay, I have to park that, but okay, what does the people of South Africa benefit in between you parking? What makes you who you are?
The next few months will be crucial for South Africa's political landscape. Will the GNU adapt and evolve, or will it crumble under the weight of its own contradictions? We want to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the GNU so far? Drop your comments below and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Inkari. It's time for more deep dives into South Africa's evolving political story. Until next time, it's time to stay informed. Thanks for watching. Take care.